going on, dudes and dudettes? So you heard me talk about the past couple of months about a nice defensive player coming out of high school next year in Jaylen Harvey. He's a four-star player. He's looking like he's going to be committing soon as well. But recently, Scott Schrader, who follows the team as a reporter, but has been pretty much over on the East Coast going to a bunch of his games and stuff, because I'm assuming he expects him to commit not only soon, but to USC, and he recently put in a prediction on on3.com that USC is going to get him, but is at like a 60% chance. So even he is a little bit over 50%, so it's not like 100% done deal. And I've heard a lot of other people in other like places like 247 say he's probably thinking more Penn State or maybe Maryland, where he's from up there. But hoping that USC does end up getting him, even with, the turmoils that we have with our defensive coach. But yes, this will be a big time get, because he is considered like barely a four-star, but he's definitely one of the more talented dudes, especially out there in the upper East Coast. So definitely looking forward to seeing his commitment soon, hopefully. And then, yes, I think it was Fox College Sports or whatever they are on X recently did a list of the top 10 hardest remaining schedules for college football teams, and of course USC has the number one toughest remaining schedule, obviously, because 5 of their last 6 games they're going to be playing against ranked teams, at least as of right now, because if those teams start beating each other up, then they could be unranked at some point, but they're just going to be right outside of the top 25 anyway, so it will still be a tough game no matter what. There's only Cal that isn't going to be ranked by the time USC plays them. But yeah, and even Washington, Oregon, forget some other school, maybe it's a Utah, that are still top 5 or at least in that top 10, just because of how many times all these Pac-12 teams end up playing each other in this final year. And there's some the Big Ten has 2 or 3 teams in there as well, and it's really the SEC and Oklahoma and Texas, they're barely in there. So it's obvious that USC has the toughest remaining schedule, and if they go through that and somehow get out of it undefeated, then they definitely deserve, whether it's Caleb his Heisman or definitely a national championship berth, at least in the Final Four. But either way, have to wait and see how that ends up turning up, because it starts this weekend against Notre Dame, which is obviously a big time game, especially when it's on the road at Notre Dame. So definitely looking forward to that. And freshman star wide receiver Zachariah Branch has pretty much missed the last 2 to 3 games for some reason. They just keep saying it's an undisclosed injury, so they haven't really said exactly why it is. But he has been practicing more and more, especially this last week. He has been practicing more, but they still have a questionable tag on him, so maybe he most likely is not going to play. Well, they're not going to push him out there and have him risk getting injured, because obviously he's a young dude, but either way, it would be a great advantage to have him, because he not only can change the game on offense, but he does a lot of good in the punt return and kick return once the team kicks it off to the other team. So definitely hoping that he will be out there to help them out in this big rivalry game this Saturday. And then, yes, sadly, a Jets offensive lineman, Elijah Vera-Tucker, who is an ex-USC player, recently tore his Achilles, so he will be out for the rest of the year. It does suck, because that's usually an 8 to 12 month process, and especially for a bigger dude like that on the offensive line, who knows how much longer it can be. But I think he's only going into his 3rd year, so he probably has another year on his contract, and then we'll be able to at least play up to get a new, bigger contract at the end of his rookie deal. So sending all thoughts and prayers, and hopefully he will have a speedy and safe recovery soon. And a big-time basketball commitment of small forward AJ Dybantsa, hopefully I'm saying that correct, from the 2026 recruiting class, recently reclassified, so he will be graduating in the year 2025. So he's going to be coming a year early to college. And yeah, he is a California guy, so they obviously have USC in his top 3. I think he even mentioned USC, but they did say once all these blue bloods, the top programs now hear that he is coming early, then they will be upping their recruitment as well. So they even said Duke could be a part of this recruitment pretty soon too. So hoping at least one of my teams ends up getting him for their college basketball team. But yeah, he's definitely a talented guy, because he was the number 1 player in 2026, and even reclassifying to the year prior, as a younger guy, he's still considered the number one player, even over a really good player, Cameron Boozer, who I think is most likely going to go to Duke because his dad went to Duke. But yeah, he's considered the number one player he was before in 2025. So maybe Duke could get both of them, or one of my teams get one or the other. That could work out too for me. USC is recruiting a couple of players from the 2025 and 2026 class. In 2026, they're recruiting the number one quarterback, Brandon Lockhart. And in 2025, they're recruiting at the edge player, Marion Dye. Haven't really heard much about these guys, but obviously a guy in Lockhart who's the number one at his position already, obviously considered very talented, but only a sophomore right now, if that. Maybe he's ending his freshman year. You never know with these. It's always weird to calculate what year or what grade these guys are in once they come into the school, once they graduate and leave in recruiting. But yes, either way, they're at least looking at talented guys still, so they're definitely very happy about that for USC's football in the future. And then House of Victory did have a couple of signings recently. They did get the forward from basketball and Joshua Morgan, which is cool. And then 2 women's beach volleyball. I guess they're sisters because it's Nicole and Audrey Norris or Nurse. I don't know. I haven't heard that said out loud. But yes, the women's beach volleyball team is one of the best out there in the country. I think they've won, especially like the last 3 years, something like that. So these players definitely deserve some love out there in the NIL community. And Joshua Morgan, definitely one of the better bright spots, especially defensively for USC basketball last year, and has been the past couple of seasons. So definitely very excited to have him back, anchoring down there in the middle in the paint, and hopefully a successful season for USC basketball as well. And those division rankings came out, or slots came out, and yes, the Chargers are still number 2 in the division with Kansas City right ahead of them, and the Raiders underneath them, because Raiders did lose, even though the Chargers are on a bye week, and the Chargers have the win head-to-head already as well, so I guess that's why they're still ahead of them. And even if I think they lose this Monday, it's against an NFC team, so it's not AFC, it's not a divisional game, and you still have the head-to-head against the Raiders. So either way, they should be number 2, but still hoping for a victory against those Dallas Cowgirls on Monday night. And then, yes, the Chargers did sign a couple of players to both the regular roster and the practice squad. They did re-sign defensive lineman Christopher Hinton, that they did let go the other day to sign someone else. So he's back onto the main roster. And then onto the practice squad, they did bring back at least one guy, Mark Webb Jr., the defensive back, and then a center, Cameron Tom, who I don't remember them having before. So they just brought in some guy to add some depth. I know Corey Linsley, their top center, was out the past couple of weeks, so I don't know if that just signals that he's going to be out even longer. He hasn't been put on IR, which means he's going to be at least out for the next 4 games, so hoping that is not happening, but I guess they're just being precautionary as of right now. And yeah, the Lakers preseason started a couple of days ago, or at least around a week ago. They did start off against the Warriors, ended up losing that game 108-125. But a nice start for them to see how the team is doing. Then a couple of days later, they played the Brooklyn Nets, ended up getting that win 129-126. And then yesterday, they beat the Kings 109-101. It's pretty nice, especially just to see like how many different lineup combinations Coach Darvin Ham is doing, and seeing who can play with each other and what type of lineups he could put out throughout the season. And it's looking pretty solid so far, especially this I think LeBron didn't play the first game. Anthony Davis did. Then the second game they both played, and they both looked pretty good. Even LeBron wasn't really doing much, more of a facilitator, but still looked pretty good. He didn't play last night's game, neither did Anthony Davis or Jared Vanderbilt. I don't even think Austin Reeves, most of their top guys or most of their starters, didn't even play last night, and they still got that victory going up against a lot of Sacramento Kings starters throughout that game. And like I said, even when they brought in guys from the bench who are going to be, second level, even guys way farther depth onto the bench, they still look pretty good, and we're still able to keep that victory towards the end. And so either way, I'm still pretty happy. Like I said on a comment, that this team looks a lot more competitive and more complete. And even during the losses that we're most likely going to end up seeing, because no team goes undefeated. So even in those losses, I still think the Lakers are going to look or be fun to watch as well. So still looking forward to the season coming up. I think it's about a little under 2 weeks. It's about to start up soon, and they get to start on the road with the defending champions, the Denver Nuggets. So that'll be nice because they're the ones that knocked the Lakers out of the Western Conference Finals. So it'll be definitely nice to ruin their ring ceremony nights with a victory out there in Denver. So yeah, thanks for watching, people. Like, subscribe, comment down below, let me know what y'all think. I doubt there'll be enough news for another video tomorrow, so good luck to the USC Trojans out there on the road at Notre Dame. Definitely a very exciting game. Will be on like around 4:30 or 5, so right around prime time for everybody to watch. And I believe Duke plays NC State, so that's going to be a pretty tough game for them, especially I don't think Riley Leonard is going to be a quarterback for them as well, so it could be a tough game. But either way, still hoping for a victory for them as well. And I think the Lakers play tomorrow, but it's just another preseason, so don't have to really worry about it. And I think the Ducks have started soon because the NHL started a couple days ago, but I haven't seen any of those scores pop up, but I'll let that build up to get a couple of games and their final scores in there to update you at some point in the future. Like I said, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, on.